Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Gambit podcast. This is a Grand Arena focused podcast for those of you that don't know. I am here with my good friend Zareth. Zareth, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well, Solo. I'm not throwing away my shot. We recently watched Hamilton for the first time, and I have it stuck in my head constantly right now. So
That's the way it works, and for the next 2 years, it will be stuck in your head as well.
yeah, dude. It was really engaging. I am appalled that it took me this long to discover it, frankly.
Yes, you and me both. I'm appalled for you.
So you just wait till I find something to be appalled about that you did.
Yes. uh, all right. So, guys, welcome to the podcast. Thank you to everyone that's here. We see you in chat. Since this is our podcast and getting recorded, we will acknowledge you the best we can. Most likely, it will be in writing, though. That way, we can keep the podcast free and clear for all of those that are listening at home afterwards, or in the car, or listening anywhere, really. But we are very glad to have you here. Thank you, guys. Uh,
Just because we don't acknowledge you doesn't mean we don't love you.
right.
It might mean we don't love you, but it doesn't mean we don't you know, it doesn't mean we don't. That's all I'm saying.
Unless you're Derp, and then we don't. But I don't think he's here, so. All right, so let's
to sneak that in early.
got it. All right, so let's get this started. We actually have, for there being no GAC this past week, we actually have a lot to talk about. So let's start off with Grand Arena is back, and it is 5v5. As we podcast here today, you can join. I haven't yet. I have not made that mistake this time because I'm hoping to get Wedge to G13 beforehand for his fleet because, and big drum roll, the big issue with this one is we now have two fleets to place in Division 1 and Division 2. What do you think about that?
Oof, dude, that's been consuming my life these last few days. I don't know. Like we've been talking about it for a long time on this cast, actually. Hey guys, just so you know, we're gonna get two ships in the zone. Like we knew that. We've been projecting it for months, really, and yet this really surprised me. I think because it said on the announcement, it said something about one fleet, or it probably said one fleet zone or something.
Yeah.
But like their announcement said, it said one fleet for this season. So I took that to mean that we were going to have it be, only one fleet to worry about. But that being said, man, I've been having a lot of fun with Rebels actually in fleet. I've barely lost anything, barely lost any fights at all with Rebels. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's because, what's your Biston at?
Well, we you're stealing away my only thing that I worked on this whole week for GAC.
I am,
but yeah, like it's I got my Biston from gear 12 plus 3 to gear 12 plus 4.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to get my Biston's U-wing up to what? 152 speed, which is the threshold you need because, gosh, that rhymed. It's like I'm making my own Hamilton here. Gosh, can't even say that without. Anyways, it's a 152 speed on Biston's U-wing. And once you do the math, all the TM gains and everything, if you're facing a negotiator fleet, that gets you to just 1 point faster than the Edda starfighter, the Jedi Knight Anakin's starfighter, which is vital. Like you'd need to be able to move before he does with Biston's U-wing to have it be more consistent. So that's like the invisible line for that fleet, and I crossed it and I am missing that gear. I didn't want to put that on Biston. He didn't deserve it. But
He does not.
yeah, yep, he's got to earn that stuff. So I've been loving it. And I've been consumed, and I've been concerned. How have you been dealing with it, Solo?
I have not cared. That's how I've been dealing with it. Especially this first week. Well, let me rephrase that. I did this week push to get the Y-Wing to 7 stars before GA lock, so I do have that. So I will at least have a Y-Wing for fleet. My Biston and Scarif Rebel Pathfinder are both gear 8, so I'm not going to rush them before this GA lock, especially with Galactic Legend Luke coming next week, which we will talk about shortly. So I am going into this next week planning on just taking Negotiator and Malevolence on offense. I practiced all week, and by practiced I mean I just did my arena climb with my Negotiator fleet without Houndstooth in it, and called it a day. You have put much more thought into this week than I have. And we'll see who's right. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if there's a good answer of who's right.
We'll see, man. I don't want to get caught with my pants down unless it's a situation where I want to have my pants down, you know? Like, I just want to be in a situation where I have at least evaluated all eventualities that I could have figured out. Like, you know, here's the thing, you know, we talk about having a plan a lot on this podcast, and I think that's swell. That's wonderful. That's how it should be. I also think that you should also give yourself a little bit of grace sometimes. If you just come across something, you're like, oh, I was as proactive as I could, and I just had no idea that existed or that anyone could ever do that. Like my second match with Abattoir was a great example. Like, he had a composition that I just I should have, but I hadn't ever dreamed up, like the Kylo plus Malak, and I just didn't have a good answer for it. I wasn't prepared for it, and like I couldn't clear because of it. So, yeah. I mean, yes, I take the blame for losing. It's the L on my record, all of that. But I mean, I like to give myself as much of a chance as I can. I realize no one can know everything, though, I guess is what I'm trying to convey.
Yeah. Which I understand. I mean, I actually am not criticizing you when I say how much thought you put into it. I am kind of both jealous and not at the same time, because, so here's my thinking on this. You know, you have said throughout the week that you want to place at least one of Negotiator and Malevolence on defense. I fully will not be doing that. And here's my logic behind it. I can consistently beat Malevolence with my Negotiator for what I'm doing in Arena is 64 banners, and honestly, the Malevolences I'm facing in Arena are much harder than the ones that we usually face in Grand Arena. So I have that down without Houndstooth. And so it all comes down to Malevolence versus Negotiator, which 90% of the team comps I can beat without even calling a reinforcement. So my logic on this is, even if I put two quote-unquote bad teams down on defense, they're not going to be bad. They're just not going to be good. They're not going to be able to outscore me by that much. And in the 24 battles between my two accounts for Grand Arena last season, I lost a total of 2 matches by less than, or a total of 2 matches were within 10 points of each other. I actually won one and then I lost the other. Both of them were on my alt account. The way my defenses are just built, I have 10 banners to play with, essentially. So I'm not going to stress about it for the first week. Now, after the first week, we're going to start to see patterns develop. After the second week, we'll generally have much more information for patterns. So I'm open to changing the strategy, but for the first week, I want to play it safe and be able to clear fleets without stressing, essentially.
Yeah, there's a few things I want to say about this. So I think that there is actually a great chance that you're right here.
I like that.
Well, if, here's the thing. Like we always have these debates, every once in a while. Like you and I are pretty well aligned on a lot of this stuff about competitive things in this game, and that's great. That's what makes our podcast good in a lot of ways, because we have that combined front. We can tell all of the filthy casuals what's what, but I mean, we do have the same understanding. The thing is, we do have some contentious things, like some things that we are vying for. You think that Asajj or that Mother Talzin's the better lead for Night Sisters. I think Asajj is better, and I was right until they changed into relics, and then you became right. And I guess the thing is, like, even though it kind of cost me a little to admit that now Asajj is not as good as Talzin, in my opinion, like, it's still like I'm much more of like a, well, if it works, then I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to have this like, well, I chose this hill to die on. Like, I refuse to admit that I was wrong, and it just materially hurts me. Like, that's not the nature of being competitive, in my opinion.
Right. It's not.
Like, just go ahead.
The being different for the sake of being different is, I think, would be the opposite of being competitive. It's more of being stubborn and refusing to do what's best.
Right. I feel like stubbornness is, I mean, it's the opposite of flexibility. And I feel like to be competitive, you do need like a certain level of flexibility. Now, you're going to go into this week with, like the hope that you can just punt. And I'm with you there. I'm hoping that, I mean, usually my hope is like, okay, if I can get the same score in fleet as my opponent, then I'm good. Like I'll outplay them on ground. Like I know that maybe that's cocky, but that's my goal usually going into fleets. And now it's shifted a little bit. Now it's like, okay, so you're right. A lot of the compositions we're facing are like you can just do like the reverse double mirror kind of thing, like where, like you said, you have your negotiator kill malevolence, and then malevolence kill negotiator, and you're just good. Like you get 60 plus banners in each, and your opponent probably gets about the same using their off meta versus your extremely off meta defenses, and you call it good. I guess my biggest thing though is I feel like there's a certain level of pressure that you can put on your opponent. If you can pull off the double get two GET2 fleets, Malevolence and Negotiator on defense, and still get good banners with your off meta teams against, if you could beat both of their off meta or on meta teams, their two Malevolence, I guess we could call them their two Geonosian capitals. If you can beat the two Geonosian capital ships with your off metas, then you're putting a lot of pressure on them to beat your meta teams. Like, if you can pull it off, that I mean, I play that chicken game all the time on the ground. It's like I can beat their Galactic Legends with my off meta counters. Can they do the same? And a lot of times they can't. Like they don't win that race, and that therefore I have an advantage. The real question is, to me, whether that's just a perceived advantage, or if I'm trying to apply one principle, the ground principle with Galactic Legends, to a thing that is entirely different. Because Yeah, if I get cleared, if my stuff gets cleared for 60 plus banners, and I put all this work into bad teams, to making them good teams, like, then the joke's on me.
It could be, but who knows? And here's the thing: we're practicing. Well, you're practicing this more than I am. I'm just practicing negotiator, and a lot of people aren't going to be doing that. I watch my arena shards, both of them, since I'm in 2 fleet arena shards. I can tell you, I'm not seeing the off-meta teams pop up in arena climbs. Like, I'm just not seeing them at all, which means nobody in my arena shards, either of them, are practicing right now. All I see are the standard negotiator and malevolence comp. So, the real question is, are they even going to be able to counter them not knowing how the teams work? So even if I put, I likely am putting my Akbar and Rebels on defense, and they have to counter it. The question is, are they going to know how to counter it? Because using Negotiator against Rebels, while I've never lost that battle, you do have to know not to put 3 debuffs down on Biggs or the Y-Wing, because the second you do that, they cleanse, and you're going to be stuck behind a tank. You have to know that mechanic. You have to know not to bring your Houndstooth in against the Y-Wing, at least at the start, because Y-Wing's opening move is going to be the protection disruption and likely mess up your Houndstooth. So I wonder how many people will actually know how to use or fight the fleets that are on defense.
Well, and that's the question too. Like, in a way, it's like, we debate now whether Geonosians are good on offense versus, or if they're any good on defense anymore. You think that they're not. I think that they still have some value, but it certainly is trending that way to be more of an offensive-minded team as more and more counters are generated for that squad. But when they first came out, it's like, if you don't use Treya, most people were like, I'm screwed. I used Treya way too early on a different squad that I shouldn't have. And now the Geonosians in the back, I'm like completely screwed. I don't have the teams to deal with them.
Yeah.
And in a way, that's, people don't know how to deal with these things. And that, so you're like I remember seeing Klesso, our buddy Klesso, he fought a Radis composition on defense in Grand Arena a while ago, and he came really damn close to losing that fight, like really close. And I don't know, I didn't go back and watch. I told myself I would, but I apparently lied. And the fact is, though, like, I don't know if it was because of, like, who fights the Radis, who even messes with that. Like, maybe it was just him not knowing what is going on with Radis. Or maybe it's actually a legitimately good composition. I've talked to the guys over on the fleet server, the Discord fleet server, and a lot of them actually think that the Radis is stronger than the Finalizer, which surprised the heck out of me. I'll say that.
I could see that. I actually could see that. I really like the Radis's kit, and I really like the resistance ships. I mean, you look at, say, something like Rey's Millennium Falcon, and good lord, when she does her AoE with 5 of the, what was it, I forget the buff name. It's like Afterburner, Overburn, something. You use that AoE, and like every ship on the opposing team loses all of their protection and some health. Just from her, I guess it's not opening, it's her second turn move, and every ship has lost their protection. It's amazing. Part of that, of course, is because most people have the Resistance pilots at Gear 13 and Scav Rey at R7 because of going for Rey. But still, that's, nowadays most fleets have an R5 plus pilot.
Right. Well, and that's Dude, it's such a weird landscape. Like we have all these pilots that we never use ever. Like
Yeah.
I barely know anything about any of these capital ships beyond like the three main ones. Like we have Rebels and Malevolence and Negotiator, and I don't know much about the rest because I haven't had to. Like I never even played the Mace fleet. Like I know that his ultimate's the best because it doesn't actually hurt me.
Yeah, I actually ran the Mace fleet twice. I ran it back in Ships 1.0 with the target lock team because he applies target lock on his basic, where the whole idea was just put target lock on the 5 opening ships and then have 5s come in as your first reinforcement, and boom. Uh, but then right before Millennium Falcon came out, I ran the Mace timeout team just to be annoying on my shard and not drop, basically. And Mace was just on the cusp of being so good, and then Millennium Falcon came out with the dispel on basic, and there goes Mace and all of his bonus protection. Uh, I don't expect that we see many Maces on the field when we enter Grand Arena, though. I just, of all the fleets, unfortunately, Mace is probably sitting there at the bottom. If for no other reason than Negotiator is going to steal at least your 5 best Galactic Republic ships.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Dude, how can you use Mace right now alongside Negotiator? Like, what's the plan?
You don't? Like, legitimately, I don't think you can. Because if you look at those Mace fleets way back in the day to time out people, it still had Houndstooth, it had Anakin, it had Plo. Those were really the big 3 that made that team tick. You're not going to use all those fleets or all those ships on a Mace team now, because you're going to use Anakin, and at the very least you're going to use Anakin with Negotiator. Now you could have Houndstooth on a Mace fleet. You probably could get away with putting Plo on a Mace fleet, but then there's 0 offense, and they can just take an Akbar against you and basically roll over you with all of their dispel.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so we need so much for ships. I've been saying it for a while. You've been saying it. We need so many ships right now. If we're gonna have 2 fleets, dude, I realized, okay, so I'm actually looking forward to my climb in fleets now because I have this new fancy fleet that I've had this whole time that I just didn't realize could actually climb so efficiently. But
Yeah.
like I've discovered that for me, I don't mind ships as much as the stagnation. I hate the
Yeah.
stagnation that has been fleets. Like I'll learn all the mechanics if we actually have a bunch of different like theory crafting potential. But to me, in my mind, I felt like it's been so like just set in stone. Like it's like, okay, we have the Millennium Falcon meta for what, like 15 months or something like that, maybe even more. And
Too
now
long.
we've had, someone was telling me that's been well over a year since we've had Negotiator and Malevolence. And it's like, it's just so stale. It like when everyone's we get a Rebel Y-wing and we get the TIE bomber and everyone's like, no way, we get new ships. You know that it's just a stagnant, awful situation. And I whatever, like I would be good with having more fleets and more theory crafting potential. Though if they give us more ships, I'll probably want more ships on the map. I don't know. I just right now it's made it much more interesting because before it was like you didn't need anything else but Negotiator or Malevolence or maybe both. You need both probably. And then beyond that, like, you're good. You don't need anything else, because arena climb, you need one fleet. GAC, you need two max, maybe just one, and put some garbage in the back if you need to be able to make sure you win on offense. And now we need 4 minimum. And if you mess up on one of your attacks, then you need 5 or 6.
Yeah. Yeah, so in prep on both of my accounts, I boosted my GP by 80,000. At least my alt account was boosted by 80,000 this past week because I just went in and applied every ship Omega and every reinforcement ability I had. And the reason I did that is I just never had to before. Like, you do the challenges, you get the ship Omegas, you get the reinforcement abilities, whatever. I never once looked at them unless we got a new ship. So last night I literally just went in onto both my accounts, boosted my GP by 80,000, and applied every ship Omega and every resistance or reinforcement ability I could, because A, I have no clue what ships I'm going to need. B, I want to have the oh crap ships ready just in case I need to clean something up. God forbid you lose to a negotiator right now, you're probably not cleaning it up. Like, realistically, you're just... Unless you've took out Anakin and you took out Houndstooth or Y-Wing, and it's only, like, Plo and Jedi Consular left. If you leave Anakin up, or you leave the Y-Wing up in the negotiator fleet, you're just not clearing it right now. Because you need one other good fleet on offense, which you've probably already used to clear the other fleet. You need 2 fleets on defense, and unless you put, your worst 2 fleets on defense, they're going to be decent. We might see a lot less full clears here.
Well, so I guess we could move on a little bit to just like implications. I think
Yeah.
so our I made a whole video on it, and you can tell how nervous people are about the fleets, because that was like my hugest video for a while, for a couple weeks, because I just talked about my speculation about fleets and everything, and like, people are nervous about it. But here's the thing, like, so they've expanded they've moved the goalposts farther for Kyber, but in return, we also have the opportunities to earn more points in fleets. So it looks pretty balanced. The big question mark in my mind here is, if you can clear the fleet zone consistently, it's actually going to be slightly easier to make Kyber. And if you can't consistently clear that fleet zone, then you are going to have a lot of trouble getting into Kyber.
And that's why I'm taking my Geonosian ships on offense, at least for the first week. That's that statement right there is the exact reason. Because I don't want to lose Kyber in the first week. Yeah.
You're right. So it's been an interesting thing. Like, before, we could tell that the banners had been changed. The required banners had been changed for Kyber. That was already apparently in. So seeing some of the people's scores, like, because it showed their score from last season,
yep,
next to the new point level. And it was just this weird thing of, like, I mean, I would have easily made Kyber. I had a great season last time. You did too. There were some people, like our buddy Ando, who would have made it by 41 banners is all. And obviously it's comparing 2 totally different things. So whatever. Sure. The implications, though, are like, really, that's because a lot of our success came because we cleared fleets every single time. We didn't have a match where we didn't clear fleets. And if we're suddenly not getting that 153 bonus for clearing that zone, which now it's 155, 156, something like that.
It was 153. Now I think Endall told me it's going to be 188 or 186, something like that.
Yeah, so but if you're not consistently getting that,
Yeah.
man, it will be a lot harder, because if you don't do that, it also implies that you're not getting your 66 or whatever, your 60 plus for clearing that ships. Like, that's 200 every single match. If you can't clear fleets ever, that's what, like 2,000, and that's enough to just screw you entirely out of Kyber usually. Like, that's a whole match's worth of GP right there.
Yeah, that's basically you have to go 11-1 to make Kyber. Which, if you're not clearing fleets, the question is, are you going to be able to go 11-1? Which the answer is probably not. So,
yeah.
Though I will tell you, I'm very worried. So, like you said earlier, we talked about how we knew this was coming. My alt account is not ready for it, like, at all. I still have a 6-star vulture, a 6-star hyena, and I've legitimately been farming them for the past two months or so. I just, one is 31 out of 100, one is 21 out of 100. And I have a 3-star Galactic Republic Y-Wing because, well, we didn't need fleets previously. Like, fleets meant nothing previously. So I am going to have to do this, with an understarred fleet. So I'm basically prepared to just not make Kyber on my alt this time.
That's unfortunate. I think my alt is going to throttle all competition really, really hard.
But
as a fleet.
Yeah, because you cheat and you have both GET2 fleets.
Oh, it's like cheating. It's wonderful.
Oh, good lord. Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting. We'll see how serious my alt takes it this time. I might be happy with a rhodium. It all depends. It all depends. I will say though that my negotiator is 7-star. So hopefully it'll be okay. We'll see. I don't know. It's not looking forward to it on that account.
I can see that. I mean, so we have this, like, okay, so I'm excited for fleets. Your main account is like basically ready, but like you're not that excited. But like, you're ready, you can play it at least. Like, it's playable for you. A lot of people in our GP range are going to be ready because we've had a lot of pressure, especially like in some of the guilds I've been in. The more competitive ones have been like, hey, like, not just like, guys, we would appreciate it if you'd work on malevolence. They were like, if you don't have malevolence in the next like 2 weeks, then you need to tell us why, or we will boot you, kind of thing. Like, and it's like, it's reasonable because if it's a cutthroat territory war guild, you need that input from your guys. And so I was like, yeah, well, I can get it. It's no problem. But like, I was gonna always have both of those fleets as fast as possible. I'm not just gonna hoard my currency for it for some unknown reason.
Right.
So I guess my biggest thing is like, I'm ready. My alt is actually so unreasonably ready right now. It's like, I just hit Division 2, and it's like I have both of my good ships. I have all the capital ships except for the 2 Galactic Legends capital ships, basically. The Radis and the Finalizer, and I need to work on those actually. But I'm getting on a tangent. But like, otherwise, I'm at 4 million GP, and like, I have 3 really strong functional fleets, and no one I've met in Grand Arena, like, some of them have won.
Right. Yeah, your alt is set up to continue the streak to what, 113, 114? I forget what you left it off on.
Oh, I'm not quite in the hundreds yet.
Yeah.
I think I'm at 71, something like that.
So, ready to continue on to 83.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. like you said, I should be fine on my main account. On my alt though, we're gonna see how this goes because we're not there yet, but we're gonna talk about Galactic Legends, and we'll end up talking about who we're going for. And my alt is stuck in a very strange spot of I can only farm so many things while also gearing up for Galactic Legends. And do I go for Luke or do I finish off the two Malevolent ships? And I don't know the answer to that. Like, I legitimately, right now, as we sit here, I don't know what I'm going to do. So it's it's going to be a very interesting time period for my alt account, which for the longest time was the much more successful account between my alt and my main.
Which is pretty funny, actually.
Yeah.
So this is going to change. It changes so many fundamental things about the game too. Like I've always said, like I want to have at least 2, hopefully 3 good fleets anyways, just because it's good to be versatile, good to have that flexibility, etc. But now it's become mandatory. Before you get to Division 2, you need to have at least 2 good fleets.
Oh yeah. Prevail Man is going to have interesting videos about fleets now.
Yeah, right now I'm gearing up to get the Falcon as fast as I can, actually. Yeah. But we can leave that discussion alone for now. But honestly, it is just interesting, and I guess here's the thing. Like they've warned us about this. This isn't that much of a surprise at all. At the same time, I feel for the people in the lower at the lower levels who just haven't ever had to work on fleets, or like your alt. You don't put a huge amount of time and effort planning all of the nuances and stuff, and so you've kind of cut some corners here and there. And right. As I see it, like not to be offensive or anything, it just like, why wouldn't you on an alt? Like, why would you put that kind of care? The issue being behind that though, like now those corners that are cut like are just going to screw a lot of people, a ton of people. Like someone in our chat just recently said, like, I didn't have a plan and now I'm going to be using my mace fleet,
right?
You know, and I'm like,
yeah,
I like having the advantage that I knew that this was going to happen, kind of, so I knew that, you know, I was kind of ready. At the same time, I do feel for people. Like, this is a huge shift in what is important in the game.
It is. So you talked about being surprised. Well, not surprised that it happened, but surprised of the timing. I honestly thought we were going to have one more month. I figured it would start in November. You know, kind of hit their 5-month anniversary. That's when they like to announce things. If you go back in history, it was Darkside Hoth came out in November. Lightside Geo came out in November. I think the mods 1.0 came out in November. I could be wrong there, but every year they do something in November, basically. So I kind of just in my head, and this was an assumption, and we know what happens when you assume something, but I kind of figured that the 2 fleets were coming in November. So if that happened, my alt, I wouldn't have the Y-Wing, the Galactic Republic Y-Wing ready, but that's not what's going to cost me. It's these Malevolent ships, and I would have them ready in November. The problem is, it's not November. We need them on September 29th.
29th, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, so I think people in the chat are saying this, and I agree. What we're going to see this week is a ton of people just punting like you. Like, just going to put garbage in. I've already seen a ton of comments. I talked to good old Maurice, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to throw my two Geo capital fleets in there, you know, on defense, because I think I'm good with all my other good fleets. I'm like, yeah, you would.
Because that's what Com does. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm ready. He's like, I got Biston up to Relic 7 just in case. Like, all right, man. You're like,
Good.
He's so funny. I love Gom. I'm talking to him about bounty hunters, and he's like, yeah, ever since it's become obvious that Mando and Grief aren't going to be in the main bounty hunter team, like I've been working on Zam a lot. I was like, wait, who told you that? Like, who told you wait, what? I feel like I'm just like so behind talking to him sometimes, but like I still don't know what the hell he's talking about, to be clear. Like I'm not convinced, but he said it, and I think there's always some truth with Gom. Whether or not it's like as amazing as he is hoping it's going to be or not is another question. But like now I'm like, should I be putting gear on Zam?
Oh, at some point. Um, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I really want to see the stats, and I have no clue how to find the stats. I want to see the stats of how many full clears there were last season compared to how many full clears there are going to be this season. Just to see how big the impact was in Division 1, like in RGP, I don't think it's going to be a big change in full clears because we have the GET2 ships. A lot of people were farming Grief and the Rebel Y-Wing anyway. But in Division 2, in that, 4 million range, people just don't have the ships built up. So somebody like you comes along that has both ships built up, and I wonder how many full clears are going to be missed out in Division 2 this season.
Oh yeah, like I'm fully capable and am planning on being a total jerk.
Of course.
For my alts, like, people are like, why don't you put stronger defenses down? I'm like, well, for my alts, my defenses are strong enough because I have good mods that I can put undergeared squads in, and it just totally tricks people. Like,
right.
If people don't understand the nest, like how to beat nest necessarily, they don't know, like, my gear 11 Darth Revan squad, for instance, GAC history beat like gear 13 Darth Revan squad because they tried to like not take their Malak and stuff, and it was like, I'm faster than you even at gear 11, and that's what matters in that. But they don't,
right?
At that GP level, they don't have the experience, and so. And then my big trump card is like, okay, so sure, like we went toe to toe in squads, good for you. Like, try to beat my fleet. I have the strongest fleet possible here, and it's hard for you to have that at your level, like at your GP level. Like, nothing wrong that any of these guys did. I just have an unfair advantage in being in a stronger guild than I really warrant on that account. And so, yeah, like I have a huge advantage. I don't know what you guys thought I was going to say, but I have a huge advantage, and like I'm absolutely going to push it as hard as I can. I'll put the hardest fleet on defense again.
Of course. Yeah. All right. We've spent 50 minutes talking about fleets, though.
Balls.
We have a lot. We actually do have a lot to go over elsewhere. Before we do that, though, very exciting news. We're actually going to remember self-promotion here.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, right? Shameless self-promotion here. In fact, you can see the screen. Or those of you watching can see the screen. So, as you know, every Friday night we do our Friday night stream where we play our Grand Arena battles on this account, and we have one very special guest. The schedule is up. It's actually going to be a very exciting month of October. Starting off with Friday, dear old Ando, who's sitting there in chat. Then next week we have the return of End All Be All. He made his face cam debut on our stream. God, that was probably in July, right? He will be back, though, so he'll be back next week. The following week we have Dylar from Dylar's Twi'lek Tactics. God, I can't speak. He is sitting in our GP range. So it's going to be a lot of high-end fights, hopefully, that night. And then finally, We're bringing Fruit Ninja Mike back for the final. As you know, we are in Grand Arena Center. Right now, Fruit Ninja Mike is barely holding on to the top spot in our division with...
And Endall is actually chomping at his heels right now.
Yeah, it's Endall, Klesso, and I are... Endall is the closest. I think he's 1 win off. Klesso and I are 2 wins off. So we're just trying to catch up to him. There are 3 months left. We're at the halfway point. By the time Fruit Ninja Mike comes on the 23rd, there will only be 2 seasons left. So it's going to be an exciting race for the championship.
Yeah.
So
it's close. We're both close. Like I'm right behind. I think in 5th place.
Yeah.
Like, and I caught up 2 spots to Fruit Ninja Mike this season. I went 11-1. He went 9-3. So I'm hoping that there's going to be some good implications there.
Yeah, hopefully. And last time he came on, he went and bombed the next week. So let's knock on wood. Here we go.
There.
That's all right. So that is, that's our October schedule. It's going to be... I truly am excited. We have every week we're going to have good guests. Every week in the past we've had good guests. Even when Clash fell asleep and woke up just as we're ending the stream. It's always been we've been able to pull some good talent. We thank Zareth for that one.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, it's been fun, man. I think that's really where our live stream took a turn. Like, it's always been fun and good. I feel like people have liked it, but the biggest thing, like, first off, we started using our main accounts. Like, at first we were just testing using our alts, and people are like, really? Like, this is your whole big live stream thing. But
right.
Now we're actually... I don't know. We're doing some good stuff with, like, I love having our guests on. They all have a different perspective on things. It's been a lot of fun to see how they are, how they approach things. And we've had the good fortune of having some really epic matches as well.
We have. So more of that to come. Despite what Ando is saying in chat, come on Friday. It will be a fun time. Maybe we will find a way to bring in Ando's drink command into our chat on Friday, so all Ando fans can make him drink as he's playing, or at the very least, activate the puppy cam, because that's why I'm here.
Good call.
So, with that said, let's move on to the... It's probably bigger news than the fleet this week. We got the final requirements for the Galactic Legends, and actually, let me pull them up here so we can talk about them, because a lot of people are going to be saying Luke is much harder than Palp, but everybody in our GP range is probably going to disagree with it. So, final requirements for Luke, the last 5, it's Wedge and Biggs and Leia, the original Leia at R3. You have OG Lando at R5, and you have Hoda at R5. Then for Palp, we have Jedi Knight Anakin at R7. You have Grand Moff Tarkin and Veers and Colonel Stark at R3 and Thrawn at R6. So, gut reaction, first time you saw these requirements, what'd you think?
I laughed gleefully. I think that's the word, is gleeful.
Yes.
How about you?
I was very happy about it. I saw the requirements, and within minutes, I had Biggs and Leia already up to G13. Wedge was at Gear 12, and then Lando and Hermit they're crossovers from the Jedi Knight Luke event, so I already had them relicked, so I just need to add a couple of relics there. Then when you look at Palp, I already have the Jedi Knight Anakin, I already have the Colonel Stark. Thrawn, I think I need to give 1 relic level to, so it's really just Veers, who I already have 12 plus 5, and Tarkin will take a little work, because he's at gear 11 still. But he's a ship captain, so it's not going to make me mad with double fleets. So I'm happy with this. I mean, of these 10 that were released this past one, I have to gear up Wedge and Tarkin, basically. And I had everybody else. How absurd is that, really?
Dude, it's so strange to me, actually, because I'm wondering if they just decided that the Luke requirements were too extreme and just audibled Lando and Yoda, Hermit Yoda, because we already had them at Relic 3 for the Jedi Knight Luke event, and Jedi Knight Luke is required. So, like, it's nothing to put 2 extra relic levels on characters that already have relics. Like, I shouldn't say nothing, but like it's hardly an inconvenience. It's not even getting us up to relic 6, like where it really starts getting hard. Like those are gimmies. Those are so easy, and I can't like for us for the Sith Eternal Emperor, like also really easy for me. Like the only ones that I really need to put anything on is Veers is only gear 12, Tarkin's only gear 12, and everyone else is like I need a 1 relic. I only need 2 extra relics total for for Stark and Thrawn and Anakin combined. So it's super forgiving.
I am very happy with these final requirements. And so as I was talking about earlier, of this creates the problem for my alt account of I am so close to this to Galactic Legend Luke on my alt account that I have to start farming Chupio and Mon Mothma now, which is why I can't farm the ships. This is why we have the problem, because let me pull it up. I think I only have 4 characters to gear for my alt account. Now, granted, I know, and I do think we have to say, for the younger players, the younger accounts, Luke is obviously just not realistic anytime soon. But for us, my alt account is 6.4 million now, thanks to my fleet barrage last night. But I literally, the only characters that I don't have at gear 12 on my alt are Old Ben, who I have to gear up to gear 13 for the Jedi Knight Luke team anyway, then Chupio and Mon Mothma. Everybody else is at least gear 12 for me. So I have to farm Chupio and Mon Mothma and farm them fast, apparently.
I guess so.
Yeah. But yeah, I was very excited. We're going to be getting the kit likely this week. Rumor is that Chrome is showing up on the Galactic War Report again this weekend. Rumor is that it's to talk about the Galactic Legends kits. And my guess is Galactic Legends come next week. That we're talking about the kit next Monday, and then the farm begins on like Tuesday or Wednesday. That's my guess.
I think you're right, Solo. I think that's what we're going to see. I think that's what we're going to see. This is very doable for me. I'll be able to, I don't know if I'll be able to start immediately once they're released, but it'll be within a day or two for sure that I'll be able to start farming for Grumpface Luke. And the biggest question to me right now is what we're going to do, in between. Because I'll tell you what, I gave you that list yesterday, just like we were talking about. Do we go straight for Sith Eternal Emperor right away? Or do we take a minute, take a break, and just do a couple of vital characters that move on? Like, I would love to get relics on Mando and Grief, despite what Gom said. I would love to get some relics on some Mothma characters that, like, I don't think that the Mothra team that is good, or that we're being given, like they were being forced to farm with Wedge and Biggs and Lando. People are like, hey, we get a Mothma team. I'm like, that's not a good Mothma team.
No, it's not.
I would love to get a relics on Cara Dune. She is actually fantastic on that squad. Like, I think that's the unanimous thing. I've only seen people saying good things about that. So, about her on that team. So I have her get at 7 stars already. I would love to put relics on her. Like, there's a whole list of like 7 or 8 characters I'd love to relic up. I think that's too many though. I need to get the 4th Galactic Legend so that you guys don't have to listen to me whining about how I had to face 4 and I only had 3. So
Right.
I'll do it. I'll do it for the greater good. But like, how soon am I going to go for it? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I am 100% after I get Luke getting Cara Dune up. There's not a doubt in my mind that is happening. like, um, because every time I've failed against a Mon Mothma team, it's because of Cara Dune. Like, we went up against one in our territory war on Tuesday, and so I went in with my Treya team, and I ended up timing out against this this Mon Mothma team because my Scion in a 5-minute fight got a total of 3 turns. 1 AoE after the first minute of fighting, and I would have won easily because they were all sitting in the red with no protection. It was just 1 bar of health basically because of all the assists. And then he never got a turn because Cara Dune just got so many turns that she was able to reduce my turn meter basically every time. In fact, Pow had the Zeta on that team, which is why she got so many turns, because she was constantly gaining turn meter. And that's what I did this week. I forgot to put that on our list, but that made me apply the Pow Zeta this week, because the turn meter reduction and then increase for them was just so absurd, and it was so good. So good.
Yeah, dude, I love the. I wish I could have seen it, honestly.
I honestly should have recorded it. Like, I was just sitting there, and my phone is set that after 30 seconds of not touching it, it goes dark. Just, power saving, blah blah blah. My phone turned off on me because I just sat there like watching the screen, not touching anything. It's like, am I gonna get a turn? Am I gonna get a turn? I didn't get a turn from 4 minutes left to 2 minutes left.
That's so nuts. I love that. I'm excited to try it.
Yeah.
But we should probably move on, honestly. Like, this is exciting. We're gonna get our Galactic Legends. The requirements aren't as completely obnoxious as they were for the original 2. That being said, someone starting the game anew has a lot of work to do.
Yes. They're not getting Luke anytime soon. And I do feel bad for those people. Like, CG basically told me I'm going for Luke because of these requirements. But, if you haven't been doing Hoth for, your territory battle for 2 years, you're not going for Luke anytime soon. Which, I'm on record of saying I thought that was a stupid idea. But that's what CG decided, so that's what we have.
It is indeed what we have. So we'll keep you guys updated on what's good with Galactic Legends.
Yes, we will.
Let's see. So we don't have Grand Arena to really talk about this week. We had good Grand Arenas. Oh, actually, here, before we do that, something we just wanted to discuss here. A thought occurred to me. Like, I keep. It's a common occurrence, guys, that I see this thing where people say, like, oh, well, CG is releasing another character, and characters aren't content. Like that, like, give us actual content. And I know that that's not necessarily like, we just got the Galactic Challenges, which are, I don't know, Like no one's really saying much about them either way. The people on Reddit will find anything to complain about, but I feel like the overall sentiment has been like, okay, like well, we got some content, but like before that and after that, like the we're always going to have this debate of like, so they release a new character or a new squad even, and they're like, and people say like new characters are not content. And I'm just curious, Solo, I didn't actually ask you what you actually thought about it. I just said we should talk about this. What are your thoughts? Are new characters being released, new character releases, should they be considered content?
Uh, I don't know if they should be considered content. I can tell you, I am much more excited when a new character gets released than when any new game mode gets released. Like, I don't want more game modes added. I don't want more content that's going to take up my time unless they make the old content go away faster. So let me sim the Sith raid and I'll be happy. Let me, sim the first 4 assault battles or whatever it is, and I'm happy. When you talk about new characters, I genuinely get excited because of the potential to bring them into different teams. Like when Piet was launched, or Chupio, those were exciting times for me. So I don't know if you can call them content. I can tell you that they make me more excited than new content, though.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think that it is new content, frankly. Like it fundamentally changes the structure of the game and the interactions that we see.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. I think that you can define content a few different ways. I know how Reddit defines it. I generally disagree with Reddit always, so I'm more than happy to go with your definition of content.
Dude, the other day I saw someone posting something super reasonable and I accidentally downvoted it because I was so surprised to see it. I was like, I feel strong emotions. What do I do when I feel strong emotions on Reddit? I downvote.
My
And I rectified that, but I was like, whoa, that was weird.
yeah,
Might
I
have been a misclick, but go ahead.
my favorite insult ever directed at me, and this literally is my favorite insult now. Is so some troll was on your Facebook page, and so I responded to him, and his comment was, "Go back to Reddit where you belong," and I was like, I have to give you credit, sir. Well played. Well played. um,
That guy was fun.
but yeah, new characters are better for the game than whatever new game mode they're dreaming up. Like we talk about this raid that's potentially coming in November, and I think it is going to be a raid. There's rumors of the beta testing now with ships in P1, and I don't ever trust those rumors, but when CG is coming out and saying something big is going to be happening for our 5th anniversary, my guess is it's going to be that raid. I am not looking forward to that in the slightest. I am probably going to be quite cranky every time the raid comes up, trying to get my 2% in each phase, which is going to require ridiculous ships. Yeah, so give me characters over new content any day.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think especially with an alt, man, it just takes so much time. A new game mode, I'm like, I don't have time. I was thinking about doing this raid, if we have a new raid, and I remember how much time we had to spend on that, especially because we were in a guild that had a bunch of underachievers who didn't really want to farm the random characters, which I get it. It's like you don't have a good account, and we're telling you to farm to like not relic, but to farm up like POW and stuff,
Yeah.
or like Greedo and just random crap that POW's good, or at least he's decent. He has a place now, but he was garbage back then, and so people didn't want to spend their resources on him. But you and I had to spend I spent hours every raid trying to make sure we crossed these thresholds. It's like Damn it! I only got 7% on Ray on my, Jedi training Ray on Nihilus. I need 8%, or we're not even going to get out of the first tier
Yeah.
of this raid.
Yep.
I'm
And
gonna
yeah.
reset again.
And now I auto my JTR team on my alt for 15 to 20%. Go figure.
I know it's completely crazy how
Yeah.
I was like, I don't see how anyone could ever have a solo team to be able to beat this, but then Supreme Leader Kylo put on his big boy pants and
Right.
showed me what's what. So
Thank God.
thank God indeed. But now, I mean, that even takes a little bit of time. That takes 15 minutes at least to solo it, or because you can't just hit auto. And if we have a new raid coming, I'm in a higher end guild now. I doubt I'm going to have to spend as much time refreshing, but at the same time, if I'm in a higher end guild, and the competition is going to be a lot fiercer for those top 10 spots.
Yeah, that's so. What makes a raid is right now the reward structure of the raid. Like the best thing I think they did was when you sim the pit raid. It doesn't just give you like 1 to 50. It's everybody shares. I think when we looked at it, it was like the average of a 6 to 10 reward. That was fantastic because the entire guild can grow together. I hate the Sith raid with a passion because I am a very competitive person. I am also probably more loyal than I should be, and I want to see my guild do well. And so the two sides of me are kind of put at war of am I going to finish top 3 so that I get the gear so that I can gear the Galactic Legend, or am I going to, which in doing so screws other members of the guild, or do you play for the guild? I know back in the days of well, actually, it was you yelled at me when I brought my alt into 50, and one day we had a Sith raid, and I finished 1 and 2 with my main and my alt, and you're like, can't do that. People are going to complain. I was, oh, really?
Yeah, that was some BS, dude.
Hey, they could have hit it.
I didn't really mind.
Yeah.
I think I was past we're gonna have an unlockable character too. So like Red 5 is coming or something,
Yeah.
And that's the other piece of it though. Like if people were wanting to unlock Treya faster, I had Treya super fast. Like I was one of the first in my shard, even though we got to farming her slower. I got top 3 every single time.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I think the one Kraken in our shard got the unlock like the day before I got, or not the unlock. He got 7-star Treya the day before I got 7-star Treya, and like I think that was the biggest thing of like you wanted your guild to do well. You're having your alt partake in these top 10, especially top 3 prizes. Like it's just. I can imagine why people would be frustrated by that. So
right, and also the thing about the new raids are, you look at the top end guilds, and a lot of the people in there are ultra competitive. They're not going to stay in the guild where they can't finish top 20 because of the raid. They're not going to. In fact, I wouldn't. If I was guaranteed that there are going to be times that I'm not finishing top 20 in the raid, I would leave and go to a different guild that I could finish in the top spots because, like you said, there is a distinct advantage of getting the character early in your arena shard. You don't want to be the guy that can't counter the new raid tune or the new raid team because you didn't care about raid.
Right. Well, that's like a serious concern too of, dude, if we get a new raid, our entire fabric, the entire fabric of the game is going to change dramatically of the guilds. Like everyone's going to reposition themselves again.
Right.
Because right now everyone can just kind of go where they want. They'll get, people have People can go and merc elsewhere if they're worried about raid
Yeah.
rewards. Like it's
Right.
all just fun. Like, hey, let's go join a territory war guild just because we have extra time, or let's join a laid back guild because we don't have more time, whatever. And it's going to change everything once this comes out.
It will. In fact, I was recruiting for our alliance back then when the Sith raid came out, and it was so. I mean, people were literally falling at your feet to come into guilds that were beating the Sith raid. And we did good as an alliance to get everybody on board doing that. So I mean, like, I was telling people no, get away when the Sith raid first came out, or at least a month after the Sith raid came out, because they were dying to get the shards. So you're going to see a lot of the 280 to 290 million GP guilds fold. What's going to be interesting is you're going to see some of the top end guilds contract or have to come up with a plan. Like, I'm sure Team Instinct and Maw and all of them, I'm sure they're going to have a bunch of alts in Merc guilds so that everybody can get decent raid rewards at the start, or at least, within 2 weeks, so that they don't fall apart. But the other guilds are not necessarily going to be able to do that. And so, very curious to see how it all plays out. But yeah, kind of took this down a path I wasn't expecting to go tonight.
I'll just say one last thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's just gonna be a very interesting situation because, in my opinion, like, that was the only time until we finally did leave. That was the only time I was actually tempted in the slightest to leave our guild, like,
Yeah.
because people weren't putting in the effort. And I have screenshots still that I remain bitter about this. Like I was doing like tens of millions more damage in tier 6
Yeah.
than everyone else. Like it was crazy how much more I was doing than everyone. And then after you get to the top 5, it was like some people were doing like 1 or 2 million maybe, and like that's gonna put some strain on, because I was giving everything. I was doing my 5 attacks every time we hit refresh. Like, I was putting in the work, and
Yeah.
like it's gonna be an interesting thing. Not necessarily for the good, though. I mean, the new rewards, it all points to us getting a new way to advance our accounts, whether it's going to be mods or new gear or relics or something. We're going to have a new method of progression, account progression.
Yeah, which actually that's one of our podcast questions, so we can hold off on that shortly.
Let's move to the podcast.
We probably should. All right. So, first podcast question. So, if you remember last week, we held off on giving a serious answer to this because we're like, let's see what the other requirements are. And then the other requirements can't come, or came, I should say, and has no impact on this podcast question. So, what GAC compositions would you use with an R7 Sidious and an R4 Maul? And I'm going to say none. None right now, at least.
Yeah, gosh. Well, here I have a thing. My buddy Hens is really good at Grand Arena. He actually just beat Gom recently. Kudos to him. But he just sent me a screenshot of a team he was thinking of, and it looks horrible. So I don't know what he's thinking, but he wants to do Maul lead with the Zeta, with Sidious with the Zeta, Marauder, Sith Assassin, and Sith Empire Trooper. And I guess it's not as horrible. Like, especially if you get some relics on the Assassin, like, you can do a lot of damage. They all have that annoying evade mechanic. Like, I don't see it being a top 16 or top 14 team, honestly. Like, put that on defense and watch your opponent mock you. But, like, I guess some people are like, it doesn't look easy necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, every time we get these,
It looks really easy.
it does. Every time we get these Galactic Legends that come out, people try and force the relic tunes onto their defense. 90% of the time, that usually lets me trooper something. um, you know, a Maul team I probably won't trooper because of the stupid evade mechanics, but just because you have him relic, look at it as just applying a piece of gear for your Galactic Legend. Like, it sucks. I know it sucks. My alt is suffering from this, but don't try and force something that's actually going to make it your defense weaker just because you want to use the character.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you want to have a cool narrative composition where you put all Sith in one zone and some Jedi in another, or whatever, like you want to do something cool, like kudos to you. Cool, like have fun at first. If you want to be competitive, probably just leave them on the bench until you can't clear geos, and then you sacrifice them to the geo gods, because maybe you could take one character out or something.
Right. Yeah.
Like right now they're not that usable. Okay, here's the real answer to this. Oh, let me make sure I read this. Yeah, so what GAC compositions would I use those two in? I would use those two in the same squad as Sith Eternal Emperor. That's the composition.
Right. And who knows, they very well may be needed for him. We'll see. I guess we'll see. Actually, you know what? Sidious on a Supreme Leader Kylo team wouldn't be bad with the opening AoE that pops exposes on everybody. And then, not that you need him, but I'm stretching here.
Yeah, let's see. I think, is Moblin Force a dark side?
No, he's light side.
Damn it all. I'm trying to think of a really bad dark side character. Gamorrean Guard. You know what squad he would be best with?
None.
Supreme Leader Kylo.
Yeah, fair.
So, I mean, he wouldn't be good with Supreme Leader Kylo, but yeah, like I just right now they have no use. I'm not convinced that they'll be useless though. I think those two might legitimately be on the Sith Eternal squad. So
yeah, they've hinted at Luke having Jedi synergy. I think the converse of that is that Palp will have Sith synergy. You're not going to want to break up your Darth Revan team. You're not going to want to maybe your Traya team. I guess it depends on the kit, but I could see an R7 Sidious stacked with a bunch of potency and a bunch of health showing up on a Palp team until we see the kit in a couple days, and then I might completely take all of that back, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited to read their kits and draw wrong conclusions again. It'll be good. Yeah. Good fun for all of us.
Right.
Let's get to the next question.
Yeah, we have a bunch.
We might not be able to make it through all of them.
So, if Galactic Legends were not a constant drain or factor in consuming all your gear and hoarding materials, what faction or pet projects would you love to gear and work on? And you probably already answered this, but answer again.
Yeah, so bounty hunters are the number one, and Mon Mothma squad is the very close second. Those two squads need way more investment from me than, if I want to make them work well, they need way more investment from me than I can currently give. Instead, I'm putting gear on Darth Sidious and whatever. It's the same complaint. We geared Rose Tico, and now our GP is high enough and other characters are geared enough that she's not even part of our top 65. Like, it was just,
right.
In a way, we just geared. That's like gearing another, just piling that extra gear on top of Rey. Right. Rey cost that much gear. That's what it essentially was. So
exactly. Yeah. I actually have the exact same faction pet projects I would work on. I want to get the 3 Mando tunes geared up into G13, and I want, Kara fits the Mon Mothma squad, but I want to finish gearing the Mon Mothma squad because, at the very least, it makes you think in Grand Arena, you know. So those are the 2 I would work on. If I had to pick a third, I would finally finish my droids, I guess. Other than that, I have what I want geared. So maybe droids.
Yeah, maybe like Night Sister Spirit or something. I don't know. Just throwing it out there so you can, even when you go on tilt and try to kill General Grievous with Night Sisters, like maybe it'll actually succeed or something. I don't know. Just crazy talk, but
yeah, whatever.
I'm talking crap here, but here's the other project, I guess. And in the comments, I've been saying I want to work on Gar Saxon and Imperial Super Commando. I would love to do that, actually. Like they suck in game right now. I think eventually we're going to get a Mandalorian faction, frankly, and I think that they're going to be super relevant. So I think that if you want an Empire fleet, and I didn't say this in our fleet discussion, we don't have to go into it, but the Empire fleet with the TIE bomber right now, if you go full relics, so it's the same level of investment as if someone went with a full negotiator fleet. You can go toe to toe and consistently beat every single other fleet out there, including negotiator and malevolence. You just need to put Gar Saxon and Imperial Super Commando at like relic 5. That's all. Like it's obnoxious as hell. I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to. But like, I would love to start working toward that because that fleet is legitimately strong, and that ship is a very important. It's like the linchpin in that squad or in that fleet, and so I would gear Gar. Gosh, alliteration for the win.
Fair. All right. Next question. What tunes should get the Vet Han, Vet Chewie treatment, aka get tags they should have but would have broken the game when released, aka Traya with the Traya Trio and Sith Empire, etc., etc.?
All right, I need to read this. Just let's see which tune should get that treatment. So that's not asking like in light of any, like just in general in the game.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to cite Reddit, I'm going to say Visas Mar. And I actually agree, like she's just kind of in a weird place. I actually like a lot of elements of her kit. She should get a couple tags and just a couple. I swear, she would be really good if you just took away the stipulation of her counters. Like she's primarily to counter Sith, and yet you can't count. She doesn't counter if she's debuffed, and all Sith do are debuffs. That's their whole thing.
Right.
So it's obnoxious as hell to say like, hey, we don't have a way for you to get rid of these debuffs, but if you by some magical accident don't have any debuffs, then you're going to be pretty decent against them. If they just took that away, if they like, anyways, we don't need to talk about her kit, but like. People are going to say Fulcrum Ahsoka, probably.
I hate that one.
Should be Phoenix.
She shouldn't be. But anyway.
What's that?
She shouldn't be. But anyway.
Shouldn't be?
No.
Fulcrum?
Yeah.
I'd be okay with it. I'd be fine. But yeah, I don't know. Those are the characters that come to my mind because apparently I'm pro Reddit.
Yeah. I would love to see Wampa get. See, here's the problem. I don't know what tag Wampa would get, but I want to see Wampa fit into a team better than just, oh, he synergizes with the dots in a Vader lead. Like I want to something that. Other than that, I really don't have any, I guess. You know, I agree 100% with Visas, but you talked about Visas already, so I won't just regurgitate that.
There's a bunch of characters that could go.
Probably.
That could take it. Like Gar and Imperial Super Commando, we kind of brushed on them anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but they're not really like a lot of people want Super Commando to get the trooper tag. He they really weren't Imperial troopers though.
No, they're
Uh,
Mandalorian. I
right.
agree.
And we don't have the Mandalorian tags. We just don't have enough actual Mandalorians around. So, I- you
I
know,
know people are gonna get ready for the nerd rage, or whatever the mainstream rage when they make a Mandalorian faction and Boba and Jango are not part of it. It's
right.
gonna be awesome.
Except for that's not even a CG thing. That's Disney says no thing. So, um,
Yep.
you know, there's literally nothing that CG can do there. Um, yeah,
People are still gonna. They're like, well, they have the armor, and in the other storylines, Jango was a. I don't know. They have fun. There's fun arguments that I enjoy. I don't.
right.
I enjoy avoiding them.
I do too. Um,
But
yeah. Okay. Fun question. A lot of these questions are quick answers, so we might be able to get through them. From a strictly enjoyment of the game standpoint, what's your three squads that are most fun to use?
gosh, it's a good question. That is fun. I love I love using bounty hunters. That's probably my number one team, honestly. Just in terms of pure joy, really like them. I really like what you can do if you know how to use a Commander Luke team, and that's before like Chupio kind of gave him the easy button, but I've
Yeah.
like you can be so precise and like you can have so much control with that team. I enjoy the heck out of a good Commander Luke team, with or without Chupio. Like I said, it's the easy button now. So like it's like, oh yeah, well duh. Like you just you hit auto.
Right.
Um, I liked that squad, and then I don't know, like I really I'm not super good with them still, but I really like Night Sisters in the way their mechanics work. They're just fun. Like you, your squad is getting the crap kicked out of it, and you're like, yes, keep kicking me. Like
Yeah.
it's just cool. I guess I could say troopers too, but that's I'll let you say that. So what are yours?
So JTR is still number one on the list. She is the ultimate control team, and I love her team. Then, uh, see, I am going to say troopers. So thank you for leaving it for me because I like teams that can finish a battle in 20 seconds, and troopers fit that tag every time somebody puts bounty hunters on defense. So thank you for putting bounty hunters on defense. And then, I'm going to take it way back to I loved the arena meta where I was running CLS Chase. Um, and then, who else did I have in the team? I think I just had Thrawn and Nihilus in the team. Like, it was an absurd team that had no synergy other than CLS and Chase. Um, but again, it was such a control team because it's like CLS has the stun and everything, and then Thrawn will fracture somebody, and then Nihilus will drain cooldowns, and next thing you know, this team has run over you, where CLS is really the only damage, and it was fun. So I'm going to go with the CLS Chase meta, even though they're really not good to play with anymore.
Yeah, I really liked the random Rex teams that I could pull things off with too.
Yeah, yeah. The old hide the Nihilus with Rex. Uh,
I didn't really ever do that, but yeah, that was good.
yeah. All right. So,
Next question.
for the Galactic Legend events, which faction do you think will be needed for each of the new Galactic Legends? So, you know, Rey had Resistance, Kylo had First Order. We really don't know about the new Galactic Legend, so speculation time here. What factions do you think are needed for them?
Like for the actual events themselves.
Right, for the actual event.
That's that's tricky because all the requirements for Luke were rebels.
Right.
Like was there anything other than rebels even on the requirements? Like we had Jedi training Rey, who's not a rebel.
Yeah, that's
Is everyone else a rebel? I guess Jedi Luke isn't. Jedi
right.
Knight Luke isn't. But otherwise, like everyone else is rebels. Like it would be.
Oh, Hoda too. Yeah.
Oh sure, sure, Hoda. So we have two Jedi and one lightsaber wielder. It's not Jedi. Uh,
Right.
she's Jedi training. That's the closest Rey ever gets to being a Jedi. Apparently, is Jedi training.
Yeah.
Or being a Skywalker, take your pick. But yeah, I don't know. I guess so. Let's see the unlock event for the other one. It all took place in the throne room, right? Well, I guess not all of it. It just took place in the movies, like in theoretical
Yep.
situations where they were killing random first order guys or resistance, whatever. So where do we see Luke the most? Probably like we don't really see him. We see him alone, hanging out with Ghost Yoda, and we see him otherwise hanging out with Rey and a bunch of rebels in this original trilogy. So he should probably need rebels, in my opinion. I don't know.
I I think he should, or I think he's going to use Rebels. I, but they say that he's going to have a Jedi synergy, so I don't know because he does have, um, Luke and Hoda as requirements. So maybe I honestly don't know. I think Palp ends up requiring Sith, but his requirements are much more. Well, not much more varied, but they're varied between Empire and Sith. So I think Palp ends up requiring Sith. Luke, you kind of struggled to answer it, which I think is fair because I think I am struggling to answer it. I think the requirements say Rebels, but the kit's probably going to say Jedi get used in the event. I don't know.
And maybe we'll need both factions for both.
Could be.
Empire and Sith and Rebel, and I mean, we could easily that could easily happen. Honestly,
It could very well be the first three levels are Rebels because they're original trilogy based, and then after that it goes to Jedi. Who knows?
we didn't. It might just be like the story of how they progress over time. Like all we have, we might actually need like Commander Luke or something with the Rebels. We might need a like each individual mission is going to take another. I don't know. I guess I feel like I'm prepared either way, but maybe we all fail our initial missions, all of them, and we're all just real. That's when we get angry at CG.
That could be. That very well could be. All right. So next one. There are technically 11 ship tanks outside Houndstooth, which is clearly the king. I think argument can be made there. And Rexes, which isn't really a tank, just like fives. What tanks can be more universally utilized? Should we care about the bomber or the Sith bomber as a tank somewhere, for example, especially considering Marauder might be going to R7?
Yeah.
So, go on.
Yeah, I think that's the universal tank other than Houndstooth is Sunfac, I think.
Yep.
And he is generally, to my understanding, needed with Malevolence. I've seen a couple people theorize that they want to run Tarkin with the Geo Trio, which is an interesting idea, and then just run like IG-88 alongside Hyena and Vulture. And I don't know, like there's worse ideas. There's probably better ideas. I don't know. The Sith tank, the Sith bomber, whatever. We're gonna have a Relic 7 Marauder. I've seen him used to be annoying on malevolence comps as reinforcements.
Yeah.
Right now, there's nothing, though. It's a desolate wasteland for tanks, except for their designated tanks for their factions. Like the BTLY wing goes with Negotiator, and it's great. Wonderful tank for that fleet. Pretty mediocre any other fleet. Same with the Rebel Y wing. And yeah, so that's
Yeah.
my take. What do you think?
I basically agree with what you say. I do use the Sith tank, the Extinction Bomber, on my Malevolence fleet right now, just because it's another tank, and you know, the goal is to keep them alive until the ultimate goes off. Basically, I will say, Clone Sergeant on a Negotiator fleet really isn't that great anymore, and can be used as a reinforcement in any fleet. So maybe that.
That's a
But
good point.
we need more tanks. That's the biggest problem in fleet right now, especially who are you going to run with the resistance or first order fleet teams right now. You're not. So I think this question just highlights how bad we actually need more ships, and them being tanks. At least give us faction based tanks.
Yeah, that's what everyone's saying, that the current the Galactic Legend fleets need, the Finalizer and Radis, they need their own tanks, and I agree. It's super awkward when you can't even field a full squad, like a complete squad or fleet, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So here's just a slight divergence, a slight prediction. We're getting that Squadrons game pretty soon. Maybe that's their opportunity. Maybe we're going to get an ocean of new ships just introduced to the game, and Squadrons can be the start of that.
I would gladly invite that. But we didn't get anything from Battlefront, so who knows?
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath. And as another aside, I would love characters from Fallen Order. Just saying.
Yes. Fair. Yeah. Okay. Next question. How to mod Malik for GAC defense against Padme or Darth Revan?
Lots. So against Darth Revan. So Malik against Darth Revan. There's not really a way to mod Malik to beat Darth Revan other than if you're afraid of that, then you could do some weird stuff where like Marauder goes just a little bit faster than Darth Revan or something, or sorry, Malik a little faster than Darth Revan, so that you can dispel the Sith Empire troopers so that Revan can hit the leader and fear everyone. I don't know. I don't think that there's a way. Just make him tanky, make him good, make him like fast and tanky against Darth Revan, against Padme, and against other squads. Like I think right now the way you want to mod Malik is frankly tons of tenacity, lots of tenacity. Then Jedi Knight Anakin can't land his healing immunity on him, or at least it's going to be harder to do that. And if you can't land healing immunity, then Malik eventually just eats the squad. That's my take. And it's also very good if you put him in Rey compositions, which are kind of an abomination, granted. But if you do that, which a lot of people are doing, he can resist the Vader counters, because Vader can't apply his dots if your Malik is 190 plus tenacity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you said. Yeah. All right. So the next question, I think we should actually skip. I'll read it just so people know why we're skipping it. But it's actually a fantastic question. It just takes a lot of analysis. For newer players, so less than 2 years, there's an ocean of content to farm up, with multiple high-value teams to pursue. Unless somebody's willing to drop a large sum of money, some of these teams will have to be ignored for a long time, if not forever. So question is, outside of GLs, how would you go about ranking the must-have meta teams, and which ones would you recommend ignoring in pursuit of more important teams? And like I said, I think that is a fantastic question. I think it's one to talk about when we don't have a lot to talk about, because you could easily spend an hour talking about that question. Easily.
Yeah. Or 7
Right.
hours. That's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've given that a lot of thought, and I really could just go on at length.
right. I think what we do with that one, and I think it might just transfer over for a couple of GAs. I imagine next week we're talking about Galactic Legends. Usually in the middle of Grand Arena, there's a week or two that we don't have a lot to talk about. So for that week, this might just pop up as something to talk about that week. So not next week, because it's going to be about Galactic Legends. But I'll keep this on our outline. That way, when we have time to actually divest into it, we can. Obviously, the person that asked it is on our server, so if you want to ask us off the podcast, please feel free, and we can talk you through it as well, just on our Discord server. So
we can work something out.
Right.
Well, we can work something out. I just think, let me just say this. I'll be real brief. Focus on the squads that you need to get just the basic characters, like the Commander Luke team. That team is like, if you get everything, including like you want to unlock like 3PO, Han, Chewie, Commander Luke, all of those, and then General Skywalker, like all of the teams that are required to unlock that, and you'll be on the right track. Like those events are a culmination of a lot of like, you can't go wrong with going for those characters, for farming those teams and everything. In my opinion, that's the roadmap to success. So, we can move on, but
right. Okay. So we actually already hinted at this one earlier. So which of the following do you expect to see in the next 4 to 6 months the most, and which would you say is least likely? Mods 3.0, level 90 increase, a new relic upgrade, or more changes to the Grand Arena map, or any change to TW. So, if you had to say one is the most likely and one is the least likely, which would they be?
So I don't think mods 3.0 is the right way to say it. I think it would be, right now we have 6E mods. I think we'd get 6D mods is my prediction. Level 90 increase. Let's see. So I don't think we're going to get anything for Territory Wars. I think that ship has sailed for the conceivable future. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't really care one way or another. I'm just over that mode for the most part. So I mean, we just saw changes to the Grand Arena map. I think we will see changes to the Grand Arena map. I would say that's the number one most likely, though. I don't think that's mutually exclusive to these other things. I think we see changes to the GAC map in the sense that we get more squads packed in, at least. If we're gonna go like to a T-shape map or something, I think maybe that is pretty unlikely. Honestly, I think it makes the most sense that they just give us new relics to upgrade. I think like a relic level 8 that gave a character plus 20 speed would make a lot of money sense for them. Like that, it's gross to think of, but gosh, like plus 20 speed, So they could do that. So I think the most likely there is a new relic upgrade, and the least likely is Territory Wars.
Yeah, I am going to go with most likely. I agree with you on the Grand Arena map, but that is not mutually exclusive. So I'm going to go with the most likely in the next 4 to 6 months will be the next level of mods. I think 6D is coming, and I think it's coming sooner than most people think. I think least likely is actually the level 90 cap increase. I don't think we ever see a level cap increase ever in this game. For those of you that know what levels mean, and a lot of people don't, so I guess I should sum it up. So when you're looking at like potency checks and stuff like that, if you are out leveled, it basically makes it harder to apply debuffs, etc. So if you look at all the raid bosses, if you look in the harder or the territory battle levels, all of the enemies are level 90. That's why they're resistant, or their tenacity is so high. Yes, that's why their tenacity is so high, is because they outlevel everybody that they're facing. So to give a level increase would make them have to go into every single event and adjust every single event. And they've already said that all those events are built by spaghetti code. I don't think it's something they ever want to do. So when you're talking least likely, I agree. I think TW is stuck being TW, but I think level 90 is even less likely.
Yeah, so I'll say this. I agree with you with basically every point you make. I'll say this though. If we're we're getting new Galactic Legends, we're getting a new raid that is probably built with these Galactic Legends in mind, so that they don't just automatically solo this new raid.
Right.
I think that if they ever do have a level increase, this is the time. I'm not saying that it will happen. I think it's unlikely, but if they do have one, I think right now is when it's going to happen, or it probably won't happen ever.
Yeah.
So 85 is such an awkward number, though.
It is such a weird number. Couldn't have made it 100.
I just kind of blur it out, and I think it would be the next level of hell, trying to race all of the Krakens, everyone like maxing out their energy to get to level 90. I think that would be miserable AF, but one way or another, I think it's unlikely. Like,
right.
The other option that they didn't include here is, why not start giving us gear 13 pieces to work towards 14, and have relics just unlock at gear 13, have pieces that go up to gear 14, and then you unlock a different aspect of a character. I mean,
well,
it doesn't sound fun to me, but
they can always change what they say, but they've basically said 13 is it. Relics are replacing gear levels. They're not adding another gear level. So they can always change what they say, but it's the current game's head of development that said it. So,
yeah, I think that is open. Honestly, I think that they could do that. That being said, they've already made it extremely difficult to get one character all the way up to gear 13. Like, it's expensive like crazy if you have to buy all the gear from nothing, which a lot of the Krakens have to do. It costs hundreds of dollars. So if you do add more gear, it's too much. But just throwing it out there. Possible. Subject to change, as Ando in the comments says.
Yes.
All right.
See, we made it through all the podcast questions. Well, mostly, except for that one. And we're keeping it under 2 hours because we're in our last segment. So
we are.
We already talked about what you did to prepare for Grand Arena this week, but why don't you sum it up again for those that missed?
All right. So I was a little bit inaccurate, actually. It occurred to me. So things I've updated on my account, the aforementioned Biston gearing, which included one piece of gear to get that ship up. So gear 12 plus 4 instead of gear 12 plus 3. And then I did get Biggs and Wedge up to gear 13.
Okay.
Now that we have now that we have all the announcements, I also got Mothra up to gear 11. She was gear 8 actually. So, and then I gave Princess Leia my remaining gold balls, and I came up short. I don't have enough, so she is gear 11 still. She only needs one more salvage, actually. I'm at 49 of 50.
Oh.
Her final gold ball. I don't think I'm going to make it for GAC lock, and I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
What about you, Solo? What have you done? You've done more than me, I think.
Actually, after you went through that list, I don't think I have. So, as I mentioned, I applied the POW Zeta. So that was my big Zeta application. I finished starring Chupio, and I had all the gear ready for him to immediately go to R5. So Chupio is now R5 in time for Grand Arena. I mentioned it earlier that within minutes of the announcement of the Galactic Legend requirements coming out, Leia got brought to G13, Biggs got to G13, and Wedge got brought up to G12. Yeah, so that's what I did. And, there's going to be lots of snickering in the audience because of the POW Zeta, but if you look at that POW Zeta and you look at how a Mon Mothma team works, it is a scary good Zeta. It's awful off a Mon Mothma team, but on a Mon Mothma team, it is a scary, scary good Zeta for somebody that got 2 seconds of screen time in a movie.
Dude, I am color me impressed for making a kit in this game that actually made the POW Zeta good, like legitimately strong, without any kind of rework at all.
That's, we should have talked about this. Let's see, it's 1 hour and 57 minutes. We got a minute quick. So we should have talked about this, but when we were talking about the excitement of the new characters, the last bad character that they released was Rose. Like, they've released so many good characters recently, and the characters that they're releasing are just buffing old teams. Like, Piet brought troopers up another level. Mon Mothma brought these rebel fighters who didn't have the tag before up another level. Like, these characters they're polishing turds, as somebody would say. They're doing fantastic things without needing to rework all the characters, and that's quite impressive.
Yeah, I think I love the trajectory they're moving in. It's going to get awkward when they come out with something that makes Jawas good, and I have to actually put effort into them. But like, I actually welcome that. Like, give me an interesting Jawa squad. I'm good with that. Like, make all the characters interesting, please, because then I have more options, more opportunities for fun, diverse roster construction.
So. Yes. Yeah.
All right, so Solo, I think that's about it, brother. I think we need to do an abbreviated shout out to all of our multitudinous content and peace the F out.
Yes, agreed. Okay, real quick. So we've already talked about our Discord page. If you look in the description below, both on Twitch and in the podcast description, if you're listening via podcast, you will find the link to Discord. It's one of the biggest Grand Arena Discord servers in the game. Now, I actually went to a bunch of Discord servers, and we're not quite there yet, but we are quickly approaching the biggest Grand Arena Discord server in the game.
Compared sizes, yeah.
Where's Derp when you need him?
Do you ever really need?
You need 50% of them. So we also both have individual YouTube pages. There is also a Gambit podcast YouTube page. You can find our YouTube pages by searching our names on YouTube. Mine is SoloBase15, SOLOBASS15. Zareth's is just his name, XAERETH. Gambit Podcast is actually Gambit Podcast, one word with the number 1 afterwards, because apparently there's a Gambit Podcast somewhere out there, and they need to give that up.
The one is a middle finger.
Exactly. All right, so we both have our individual Twitch pages. Mine is simple. It's SoloBase15. Again, yours they had to make difficult. So you are Xaereth_prevails. That's XAERETH_PREVAILS. You can find us on Twitch there. We already mentioned our Friday night streams and our fantastic schedule for October. So we will be doing that on our Gambit podcast Twitch page, one word without the one on Twitch, every Friday night, along with this podcast on Monday nights. And then finally, saving the best for last, we have our counter sheet, which is a Google document. Despite all disbelief, it is not temporary in nature. It is quite permanent. And on this counter sheet, we have the full team that we faced on the left. That means we list out all 5 members. You're not just going to see a headshot of, whoever the leader is. On the right, we have the full team that we used to face that team. Again, you're not just going to see the headshot of the leader. We're going to list out the entire team. Then directly next to that, there is going to be a timestamped link to a video of the fight. That's what makes this counter sheet so useful. You can see the gear levels. You can see the turn order. You can see the moves that we made. You can play along with us and make your counter work, as opposed to just seeing a little face of Talzin, a little face of Brute Alpha, and saying, oh, look, the Night Sisters are a counter at the Geos. No, you get to watch the fight and see how it actually works. It is a very, very useful thing. So with that said, we are ready to get going. I do just want to acknowledge we had 2 follows on our Twitch page while this podcast was going. One of them recently, so thank you, Momo Nadan. And then he's been in the chat for the entire time. Thank you, Lomas McBardman, for the follow. We appreciate both of your follows. And we look to see you on Friday night when Ando is here, causing a ruckus on our Friday night stream.
Heck yeah. Mama Naden, that's cool. That's a character from the Cantina, like a really obscure character from episode 4. For what it's worth.
Good to know.
I used to have his Star Wars card. Yep.
And Ando, that's what we will be doing on Friday, or at least I will be getting drunk. So
Ando's going to be doing the Han Solo solo. So look for that.
And T-Bone is turning 21 on Friday, so come drink with us, T-Bone. Oh, good Lord, the Han Solo solo. All right, with that said, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on Friday. And please remember to sign up for Grand Arena so that you can join us in fighting for and have a week to talk about at the next podcast. So thank you, everyone, and have a good night, all.
And don't be a dick.
And evil sucks. Have a good one, guys.
Have a good one.